Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another video. My name's Dylan. I'm a cycling coach here at Carmichael Training Systems in Brevard, North Carolina. And today we're going to be talking about why you need an off-season. With cyclocross ending in November, December, or even January for some of us, and then road and mountain bike races popping up in February and March, it can become really easy to race all year long. The bike racer inside of us sees that upcoming race and can't help but register. Some of us can develop fear of missing out when it comes to bike racing. This may not be the best strategy though if you want to advance as an athlete. The off-season is important both physically and mentally. Let's start with the physical. Over the course of a season, you build up fatigue from racing and training. Sure, you can take rest days or maybe even rest weeks, but if you don't take a prolonged rest period in an off-season, you could very well end up overtraining. In a review on overtraining in endurance athletes done by the American Psychological Association, they describe two types of overtraining: short-term overtraining and long-term overtraining. The type of overtraining we're talking about when we're talking about the need for an off-season is long-term overtraining. Long-term is described as lasting weeks or months, causing overtraining syndrome or staleness. Staleness is a great word to describe what a long season can do to you. Maybe you're experiencing a plateau or even a decline in fitness and you just don't seem to have that pop anymore. This is extremely common at the end of a season and is an indication that you need to take a break. Too many athletes experience this and think that more training is the answer, when in actuality the exact opposite is true. Now let's talk about the mental side, which is equally, if not more important. A study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine looked at 400 male and female competitive swimmers and found that the mood state disturbances increased in a dose-response manner as the training stimulus increased, and that these mood disturbances fell to a baseline level with reduction of the training load. So mood disturbances could be a lack of motivation or irritability. How many of you have felt this towards the end of a long season? It can be very mentally draining to hit training as hard as you can all year long. A change of pace is a huge mental relief. Oftentimes, athletes have their highest level of motivation early in the season. That's because they've taken a break and are starving for hard training again. In the long term, racing and training all year will probably lead to mental burnout. We want to start thinking about our training in a macro level, taking into account the whole season. So at a micro level, you might do 3 days of hard riding, and then what would you do? You'd take a rest day. Oftentimes we structure a training block with 3 or more weeks of hard training, followed by a week of easy riding to recover. If we apply the same cycle of hard work and then rest to a whole season, it follows that we would have a recovery portion of the season, or otherwise known as the off-season. A lot of times athletes will find that their best results come after a period of forced rest. Let's take, for instance, Pro Tour cyclist Matthew Hayman in 2016. Hayman fractured his radius early in the season and was forced to sit out for most of the Classics races until Paris-Roubaix. At Paris-Roubaix that year, Hayman ended up getting the best result of his career by taking the win that day after not racing all spring. Local North Carolina pro mountain biker Luke V was hit by a car in June of this year and was forced to take a month off his bike. Following his injury, Luke came back to get his best result of his career with a second place at Elite Cross Country Nationals and third in the short track. While these riders didn't take an off-season per se after their injuries, it does highlight that a break from racing can yield some impressive results and that racing all year long may not be the best plan. For me personally, I found that my results can really start to suffer towards the latter part of a season. My motivation dwindles and my legs start to get that stale feeling. I can't tell you the number of times I've found myself getting disappointing results in September when I've been racing since March. And I find that a lot of the athletes I work with experience the same thing. Workouts become less consistent towards the end of the year, and so do race results. After the off-season though, my motivation skyrockets and all I can think about is getting back to the grind of regular training. So much so that I usually have to hold myself back in January from overdoing it, even if the weather is miserable. Another reason you want an off-season is so you can have a time of the year when you can incorporate lifting into your training program. If you haven't seen my video on the science of why lifting is beneficial for cycling or how to incorporate lifting into your training, be sure to check those out. I'll leave the links for those videos in the description below. Basically, you want to have a time of the year where your main training focus is your gym work. This time should be free from racing because this lifting is going to make you really sore and you won't really be able to do any race-specific on the bike training. So how do you go about planning your off-season? Well, the first thing I do is decide what type of racing is most important to you and you want to focus on. Maybe your favorite racing is a spring road or mountain bike series. In that case, it probably wouldn't be a good idea to race cyclocross into December. Or maybe cyclocross is your goal. In that case, a break early to midsummer might be the best option. The off-season should last 2 to 3 months. Now when I say 2 to 3 months, I'm including lifting in there. Some people may consider this training and not the off-season, which is fine. In that case, your off-season is 1 to 3 weeks. I define lifting as an off-season activity because it's such a radical departure from your normal training. I usually find getting in the gym in the off-season to be mentally refreshing after so much time spent on the bike. You'll also be riding a lot easier and a lot less than you normally do at this time. This time of year is a good time to leave the cycling computer at home and forget about heart rate, power, and intervals. Get back to why you fell in love with riding in the first place, which is just getting outside and having a good time doing something active. Stop at scenic overlooks, explore routes you don't normally do because they aren't good for training, and do some cross-training. The off-season is about a total shift in mindset. The Type A mindset of go, go, go is great during the season when hard training needs to be done, but can be the detriment of so many athletes in the off-season when it's time to relax. In the off-season, we want a Type B mindset and learn to just go with the flow when we're out riding. This type of thinking is only advantageous during this time of year, so make the most of it. As far as cross-training goes, one of my personal favorites is running. During the off-season, I usually get out and run once or twice a week. Now these runs aren't anything crazy, just 30 minutes to an hour at a comfortable pace. Just like the riding we're doing right now, we want the cross-training we're doing to be enjoyable and fun. And it doesn't have to be running. It could be hiking or swimming, or if you live in a place with a lot of snow, snowshoeing or cross-country skiing. Really anything that'll get you out moving and work your cardiovascular system that's not riding your bike. Leave any questions you have in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a like and share it with someone who needs to take an off-season. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and subscribe to this channel for more coaching content. If you're looking to get fast and you need a coach to help you, shoot me an email at djohnson@trainwreck.com.